Hi, this is Chris Salas. Here's a short video on how to assemble the DMEK Dance stage. I'll show the assembly twice, first with a CORONET and then with a CORONET artificial anterior chamber. Start by trephining an 18mm latex disc to form the latex diaphragm. Then mount the cornea over air onto the artificial anterior chamber. Pressurize the artificial anterior chamber so that you can form very crisp, watertight corneal incisions. It's also a good idea to repressurize the artificial anterior chamber as needed before each incision. Now dismount the cornea from the artificial anterior chamber and remount it over air onto the artificial anterior chamber, this time with a latex diaphragm on the cornea's underside. With the cornea now mounted over the latex diaphragm, fill the anterior chamber with BSS. Then aspirate the residual air bubble with the cannula, which will have the effect of lowering the volume and pressure of the anterior chamber and dimpling the cornea. Undimple the cornea by depressing the syringe attached to the artificial anterior chamber's base. Assembly is the same with the CORONET artificial anterior chamber. Mount the cornea over air onto the CORONET artificial anterior chamber. Pressurize the artificial anterior chamber so that you can fashion very crisp, watertight corneal incisions. I take my time to make a triplanar main incision and biplanar paracentesis incisions, even though intraoperatively in DMEK surgery I make biplanar main incisions and uniplanar paracentesis incisions. This is because most DMEK labs utilize tissue that is leakier than normal human tissue is in vivo, and the DMEK Dance stage does not work nearly as well when the incisions are leaky. With your incisions made, dismount the cornea and remount it over air, this time with a latex diaphragm on the underside of the corneoscleral rim. One of the nice features of the CORONET artificial anterior chamber is that it comes with two retaining rings, one of which has a larger opening which exposes the corneal limbus. This makes the dance moves easier to execute. With the cornea mounted, fill the anterior chamber with BSS, and then aspirate the residual air bubble with the cannula. This will have the effect of lowering the volume and the pressure of the anterior chamber and dimpling the cornea. If the cornea does not dimple, you can induce a dimple by pulling back on the syringe that's attached to the artificial anterior chamber's base by about 1/4 to 1/2 cc. Once the cornea is dimpled, undimple the cornea by depressing on the syringe, again by about 1/4 to 1/2 cc. One of the issues you might encounter with the DMEK Dance stage, especially if you're using the barren artificial anterior chamber, is that it's difficult to execute the dance moves because the artificial anterior chamber tends to slide on the table. This is less of an issue with the CORONET because it's heavier. If you're using a barren artificial anterior chamber, you can either mount it to the table or obtain one of the weights made by CORONET to keep it from moving around. Another issue you might encounter is that the anterior chamber is difficult to deepen because one of the incisions is leaking. In this example, the anterior chamber is filled with BSS with a cannula, but as soon as the cannula is removed, fluid leaks from the paracentesis and the diaphragm does not prolapse posteriorly. This is at least in part because the paracentesis incision is made in a uniplanar fashion with a larger blade and is leaky, as opposed to a biplanar incision made with a smaller blade, which tends to be more watertight. Here, when BSS is injected into the anterior chamber, there is little leakage from the paracentesis and the diaphragm prolapses posteriorly, which you can see here when it goes out of focus. Further details about the DMEK Dance stage can be found in a manuscript that will be published in a future issue of Cornea. Thanks for watching. Really hope this helps.